Hi there, welcome back to Good Morning Sports Fans. We start this hour with some breaking news. Let's get straight to Everton and our reporter Vinny O'Connor. Vinny, what can you tell us?
David Moyes has been confirmed as the new Everton manager. In a statement, Everton Football Club says that it's delighted to welcome back David Moyes as their new manager, effective immediately. David is widely recognised as one of the Premier League's most experienced and accomplished managers, having led Everton for more than 500 matches from 2002 to 2013. As a driving force behind taking Everton to the 2009 FA Cup final and 4 European campaigns, he's also managed Manchester United and West Ham United, where he notably won the UEFA Europa Conference League. There are quotes in this statement as well. First of all, from Executive Chairman Mark Watts, he says, "We are pleased that David is joining us at this pivotal time in Everton's history. With over a decade of experience at the club, he is the right leader to propel us through our final season at Goodison Park and into our new stadium. We look forward to working with David to build the foundation of a new era for Everton." And David Moyes himself says in this statement that it's great to be back. I enjoyed 11 wonderful and successful years at Everton and didn't hesitate when I was offered the opportunity to rejoin this great club. I'm excited to be working with the Free King Group and I'm looking forward to helping them rebuild the club. Now we need Goodison and all Evertonians to play their part in getting behind the players in this important season so we can move into our fabulous new stadium as a Premier League team. Further announcements on David Moyes' staff will follow in due course, and that's how the statement ends. We were expecting David Moyes to be here already. The players have started arriving. Leighton Baines arrived as well a short while ago. The expectation is that David Moyes will take training today, although we've not had that confirmed. The players are due to report in by 9:45 and training is taking place sometime after that. What we also understand is that David Moyes has signed a contract that will run until 2027. So not just a contract until the end of the season, but a good deal of time for David Moyes to start building and moving this football club forward now. So that confirmation coming through this morning, we knew it was going to happen after we found out last night that David Moyes had agreed to become the next Everton manager, and indeed has now been confirmed by Everton Football Club themselves.
Vinny, I imagine there'll be a range of opinions, there always are, but how will this appointment be received by the fans on the whole?
Well, I think it has been mixed. I think David Moyes would recognise that as well. On the plus side, of course, we spoke about his record here at Everton. I think it was 9 of the 11 years that he was here at Everton. They finished in the top half of the table. When you consider the way things have gone, I think Evertonians as a whole would generally welcome that kind of form moving forward. Certainly, they need that kind of stability and that kind of platform to build from before they start then being able to challenge for and pushing into the European spots. On top of that, of course, he did take them to an FA Cup final, and you look at what he did in the transfer market as well. You consider the team that he built and the players that he was able to bring in, the likes of Tim Cahill, Leighton Baines, I mentioned arriving earlier, still here at the club in a coaching capacity, but what a stalwart he is for the club. Seamus Coleman still here as well, the club captain. Of course, David Moyes brought in 60 grand. Seamus Coleman cost all those years back, but even the likes of Pienaar and the way he worked with Baines down the left-hand side, Tim Cahill in midfield, Mikel Arteta, his time, and the kind of entertaining football that Everton did play at times. I know David Moyes is taken as a pragmatic coach, but I think it does him a disservice to some of the football that was produced at times during his spell here at Everton. Even when you consider when he left, he had players like Kevin Morales in the side at that point. So, yeah, they're the positives when you look at it. Of course, there was the detractors, and I go back to a pragmatic approach, and not every Evertonian was necessarily happy with style of play at times. Again, I think to a certain extent he's done a bit of a disservice in that point. But of course, there was the way he left as well. He got a massive send-off from Goodison Park. I think everyone recognised at that point that a step to Manchester United was something that he couldn't turn down. At the same time, he then did come back and try and take Leighton Baines. He was able to take Marouane Fellaini. And I think some Evertonians looked at that as a level of disrespect towards the football club as well. And when there were a few taunts thrown in David Moyes' direction from Everton fans at Goodison Park as well, there was a reaction the other way. So that was where the relationship soured a little bit. But at the same time now, Everton are in a position where they need points on the board quickly. They need to start moving away from that drop zone. They've brought in David Moyes to do that job. He did it when he first arrived at the football club because Everton were in deep trouble of relegation back then, of course, as well. He's facing a similar task now. We know he's well equipped to do that job.
Absolutely. Great stuff, Vinny. Thanks very much.
Well, Moyes told us recently that he was ready to return to football but would prefer not to face a relegation battle. He rejoins the club with them sitting just 1 point above the Premier League relegation zone. And here is what faces Moyes. His first game is against Aston Villa at Goodison on Wednesday. That's followed by another home game, this time against Tottenham. You can see that one live on Sky Sports next weekend. They'll also face Brighton, Leicester, Crystal Palace and Manchester United over the next few weeks.
This isn't an appointment that will be universally welcomed by Everton fans. I think there are some that still think that David Moyes didn't take the club as far as they could. I think that's quite harsh, but we have to be honest that some Everton fans didn't bemoan his departure back in 2013. But I do think that, he is a good appointment for Everton.
What catches my eye about this story is that it's 2.5 years. It's up to 2027. I think that the fact is that, David Moyes, I think probably would have been reluctant to go back into some sort of relegation fighting, red Adair kind of scrap, really, to just steer them away on a 6-month deal. I think what this says to me is that the Everton new ownership, the Friedkin Group, basically believe that in him to give him a 2.5-year deal, not just to see them into the new stadium, if you like, but also to perhaps overhaul the squad.
So a second spell at Everton for Moyes. And here's a reminder of what he achieved first time round, which Vinny was just touching upon. In the 2004-05 season, he guided them to a top 4 finish. They qualified for the Champions League, but didn't quite make it through to the group stages. In his 11 years at Goodison Park, Everton finished in the top 8 9 times. Extraordinary. And in 2009, Everton reached the FA Cup final, Everton's only cup final for the last 30 years. And they qualified for European competition 4 times. They've qualified just twice in the 12 years since Moyes left.
Some fans are, not just worried, but just a little bit annoyed by this appointment. Just because, number one, the way David Moyes left Everton Football Club, coming back, trying to sign the likes of Fellaini and the likes, of Leighton Baines. So it doesn't suit everyone. A lot of Everton fans do want to move on and want to try and be progressive. For me, I understand why they've made that appointment. We just simply couldn't go on with Sean Dyche. There are other managers maybe we could have looked at, the likes of Fonseca, who's recently left Milan. So it's pragmatic, and I understand that.
Of course, it's not the first time that Moyes has returned to a club for a second spell in charge, having had 2 stints at his previous club, West Ham, and he performed better second time round, getting more points per Premier League game. Jose Mourinho had 2 stints at Chelsea. Things didn't go quite as well second time around. He did win the league, but his points per game dipped. And another recent example of a manager returning to a club was Roy Hodgson at Crystal Palace. Not much difference between his 2 spells. He won slightly more points per game second time around.